Maybe listen to him speak, yeah. No matter what, just let it go.
Pop, persuadable. Do you guys know what to say when your sister is crying? You say, "Are you having a crisis?" I totally fucking Google that. What's going on, everybody? My name is Persuadable. I'm obnoxious, and let's talk about Dead by Daylight Mobile. One of the questions that people have been asking me a lot lately: why am I wearing the hat? I'm starting to look like a Dragon Ball Z character when I get out of bed. I got this like nasty ass hair right now, and so we're rocking the hat. This is Mauritius, showing love for the people in Mauritius. And let's talk about the top perks that I use when we are in solo queue. All right, I am a rank 1 survivor, rank 1 killer. I have been a beta tester for a very long time now. And I have my notes handwritten down because that's what I do as an old ass man. So I'm not that old. I'm only 29, but trust me, I feel like I am. The big question that people typically ask me is, what are the solo queue perks that I use? Now, there's something that I want you all to know. There's so many different play styles in this game. You got people who play stealthy. I used to play stealthy when I sucked at kite. I'm not going to lie. I got so fed up with these fucking killers. I was like, I just want to avoid them, and I would use urban evasion. I would just crouch away from them. All right. You have other players who get really good at the game, really good at kiting, and they constantly want to be in your face. You have other survivors who don't want to go in for rescues. They'd rather focus on gen repair. And you have people who don't want to be on gens. They want to go in for rescues, right? Now, there's a little bit of responsibility with all players to make sure that they're doing what the team needs at that point in time. These lists are very, very difficult to make because they don't encompass all the different sorts of strategies that you can use. So let me preface it by saying that there are many different perks that you can use in this game. The point of this video is to tell you what I use as a rank 1 survivor in solo queue and using my rationale as to defend why I pick the perks that I pick. Number 1, Spine Chill. You do not have to level up any survivor for this. This comes with all survivors. Well, you have to level them up in order to get the perk, but you don't have to level up a specific character to unlock the perk. I really like Spine Chill because it pretty much eliminates the ability for any survivor, or rather killer, to come to me and to try to scare me or get the drop scare on me. Think of Michael Myers, think of Ghostface. Now, some people have brought up a very good argument. Why are you using Spine Chill on mobile when the majority of killers have red indicators when they're moving and walking around? I think that's a really good question because there are a lot of killers that do have the red indicators. However, I have already made a video on as to why I like using Spine Chill and why I think it's actually the #1 perk in the game, even on mobile. And also, I would even make the counter argument that there's going to be a lot more killers who are not using red indicator killers currently in Dead by Daylight Mobile because they're so fucking fed up with the red indicator. So that could be an argument. I'm just saying that I really enjoy the little bit of extra decoding or gen repair and speed and the volt and speed. And again, I know that if I can kite for my team in the beginning of the game, I'm going to do a good job. And I can only do that if I am not caught off guard, especially if a killer is using monitor and abuse and they get really close to me and I'm not in position. My team needs me to be able to loop and kite so they can hopefully do gen repairs. All right. Number 2, Kindred. Now, this is another very important perk. One of the things that we see from many survivors in this game is that they complain about their random teammates. I'm guilty of it, boo-boos. I'm guilty of it. I get it. I totally understand it. All right. However, there's been plenty of opportunities and plenty of circumstances where I'm using or I am repairing the generator. Somebody goes down and I have no idea if anyone else is going for the rescue, especially when I'm halfway across the map. Now, you can say that there should be some universal language, such as if you're close to that sort of survivor, you should go in for the rescue. But right now, that language doesn't really exist. When you use Kindred, Kindred is a perk that is unlocked by all characters. You don't need a teachable skill for this in regards to leveling a specific character. It riddens all of that responsibility. If I go down, I don't have to worry about whether my survivors know if other survivors are going to rescue me. At least at that point, it gives me the peace of mind when nobody comes and rescues me that they were all at least able to see each other, which actually doesn't happen very often. I've realized that when I use Kindred, there's usually always a survivor that will come and try to rescue me. When I don't have Kindred, there's plenty of times where survivors don't. And that's not necessarily their fault. It is a little bit, but there's no communication. There's no way that they can telepathically speak to one another that communicate super effectively with one another. There's been times where I didn't know if somebody was going in for the rescue. So Kindred is a nice ability where it allows people to communicate without communicating at all. I know that sounds like a paradox. Whatever. We're going to run with it. It's a very important perk, and I usually get rescued when I'm using this perk. And I think a lot of you should use it as well, especially if a killer decides to camp. They're going to be able to see it and adapt their ability to survive. Number 3. Now, this is where it gets a little bit more touchy, and it depends on your exhaustion perk. Me personally, I'm putting Dead Hard on this list. I know there's a multitude of issues with Dead Hard. Dead Hard is unlocked by David, and it allows you to sprint very quickly when, well, not like sprint burst, but it gives you a momentary burst of speed. So when a killer tries to hit you, you're immune to it, and if they register the attack, then they have to go through attack recovery, or you can use it to make them miss, and it helps you get to the next pallet or area. There's a lot of criticism with Dead Hard, such as dedicated servers, killers being able to outsmart you. They wait for you to use it prematurely, right? I understand those arguments, but I still like Dead Hard, especially on mobile. It's a lot more difficult because the button is in the top right corner of your screen, and it's very difficult to hit sometimes, but it can come in clutch. Now, Life is another good perk that you can use as well, especially when you get better at the game and understanding how you can use the windows or pallets to your advantage to make sure that you can transfer to the next area. Comes in very clutch. Sprint burst is good as well, but the reason why I don't use sprint burst is, first of all, on mobile it's significantly harder as well using sprint burst, because sometimes you can nudge your finger a little bit too far up in that reticle and then you activate your sprint burst prematurely. Also, I have spine chill, which means that I should always be able to get myself in a good position. I am not saying that sprint burst is not good, and I'm not saying that Life isn't good at either. I'm just saying that I feel Dead Hard usually comes in clutch a lot more. However, there is a skill gap with that, and there is a learning curve with using that ability. Now, the devs were talking about possibly extending those walls from one another, some of those good kiting areas when you get good at looping around the windows. Now, if that happens, Life may actually become more important so you can get the hell out of that area. We don't know just yet. But as of now, I'm going to put Dead Hard as number 3 on my list. Number 4. Now, this is a toss-up between two. You can either do Borrowed Time, which you can unlock through Bill, or you can use Decisive Strike from Lori. They both have really good, strong qualities to them, but I'm going to tell you why I prefer Decisive Strike when I'm in solo queue, but when I'm Survivor with friends, I actually go with Borrowed Time, right? Weird. Here's the reason why. Decisive Strike is unlocked by Lori. It gives you the ability where when a killer downs you, you have the ability, as long as you're the obsession, which you will be, when you get off that hook and he downed you again, when he picks you back up, you have a moment where you can use a skill check, stun him for about 5 seconds, and continue running. Now, the reason why I prefer Decisive Strike over Borrowed Time, which is leveled by Bill, which gives you your teammates the ability to be immune to one shot so long as you rescue in the vicinity of a killer with a terror radius. That terror radius has to be active. So if you try to unhook somebody and Wraith is currently uncloaked, or rather cloaked, you're not going to be able to use that Borrowed Time. So why do I choose Decisive Strike? Well, I use Decisive Strike because I don't presume that my fellow teammates are using Borrowed Time. If I had Borrowed Time, it would be fine, which is exactly why I said I use Borrowed Time in Survivor with friends, because I know that if I get hit once, usually I can kite very well to waste a whole shitload of time. Now, I don't expect my teammates to have it. Now, also, with that being said, I also expect a lot of killers to camp right now. They're going to camp because they don't really know how to play the game. Now, that doesn't mean everybody doesn't know how to play the game, but the mobile market is different, and I can personally tell you within my own community, I have thousands of people who say they've never played Dead by Daylight before, and they're just entering the market. That's why Dead by Daylight Mobile is going to hopefully be huge. So you can't expect them to have everything unlocked right away, and you can't expect them to have the most perfect perks. I use Decisive Strike because I know that killers are going to camp a lot more until they learn, hey, this doesn't work in red ranks. So, because of that, when I go down and I don't want to rely on my survivor or my fellow teammates' builds because I don't know them, I don't know if they're just having fun, I don't know what build they have, I can rely on my Decisive Strike just in case a killer comes and tries to punish me or camp me. That's an important thing. Those are my list. I would say it would be Spine Chill, it would be Kindred, it would be Dead Hard. You can substitute that with Light or Sprint Burst. I don't really like Urban Evasion that much. I think people try to make it work for the views. It is good in its own way, but it's not always reliable. Let's be honest with each other. And you can also try Head On, but that's more of a meme perk, okay? And then number 4 is a toss-up between Borrowed Time and Decisive Strike. Since this is a video about solo queue, I will say Decisive Strike, especially if I have a killer that tunnels me and I can't, I'm able to kite them for 3 generators. A lot of them like to camp at that point. They start to panic or they're pissed off with you. So you have Decisive Strike and Kindred, so you know that you'll be rescued, and you have Decisive Strike. So when you are rescued, you can continue spanking them bum cheeks. Now, I think that there are some notable mentions. Again, there are other perks that people use. I don't agree with Self-Care. Self-Care is old news. That stuff got nerfed a long time ago. I go into the match with a med kit usually when I have one because usually I only need to be healed up that one extra time, okay? I think Deliverance could be a good perk. However, because I have Kindred, I don't got to worry about using Deliverance. If you don't think that Kindred's actually going to help you get leveled up, or rather that Kindred isn't going to help survivors come and rescue you, you can use Deliverance. Now, you can use Deliverance, but then you have Decisive Strike that you're going to have to activate, where sometimes using Decisive Strike to that you got that. You can use Deliverance. That's fine. It's perfectly fine. You can use Resilience. You can get rid of so one of the perks and use Resilience, which helps you with your Volt and Speed, especially when you use that in conjunction of Spine Chill. That Volt and Speed will actually work together, add on top, and you'll have, what is that, a 15% Volt and Speed. You can do that if you think that you're going to kite for a very long time. The problem is that really good killers will eventually leave you if they know that you're in a tough area or a strong spot. And if you're a good kiter, because you think you are because you're using Resilience, which is totally fine, you're probably going to navigate towards the stronger areas of the map if you can. A lot of killers aren't going to tunnel you. They're going to move on, so Resilience isn't going to work for you in that favor, but Resilience does obviously make up for it in other ways. Other perks that you could use is Prove Thyself, which helps you decode faster or repair generators with other players, especially if you put that in conjunction with Bond. There are players who are really good who like to use that build because in their mind, usually the biggest weakness that they have is that generators aren't being repaired, so they take that responsibility among them, and then they just usually pair it with Spine Chill and an Exhaustion perk. That is another option that you can use. Again, Unbreakable, you can try Unbreakable, but then you're presuming that the killer's actually gonna slug. I don't use Adrenaline in solo queues because I don't always think we're gonna get all the generators done, to be honest with you. Iron Will is a good perk, but I think it's better on PC because there are red indicators. That doesn't mean that Iron Will is not good. It's still good against Spirit because Spirit has a huge advantage on mobile because of your groans and your movements giving off an auditory and visual cue for that killer. However, I think that although Iron Will is great, if I had to pick between what my main 4 perks would be for solo queue as somebody who specifically likes the kite and get in your face and get you pissed off, but I also know that killers can be good as well, is that I will use Spine Chill, Kindred, I will use Dead Hard, and I will use Decisive Strike. That doesn't mean that the other perks don't have their place in all of this. That is the 4 perks that I choose. If you like to go stealthy, you can choose some of the other perks such as Urban Evasion. If you like Gen Repair and Speed, you can go with Prove Thyself to help other players do it faster. If you like to go in for rescues you can do that borrowed time that will really help out your teammates specifically, but a lot of good killers are going to wait for you to go for that rescue. They're going to hit you once and then they're going to follow up with you. A lot of experienced killers don't always chase the rescuer because they need the blood points, especially if you're getting your ass kicked, but it depends on the match as well. Anyways, I digress. That's my video. Those are the 4 perks that I will always play if I'm trying to go try hard mode. Don't let that limit you from playing some awesome perk combinations and having fun. But if you do want to win and you are trying to rank up in solo mode, that is my opinion in regards to what I feel is the best build that works personally for me, because traditionally I do play more solo queue than party queue, and that's what I used in order to propel myself to rank 1. Thank you very much for watching. You guys can catch me on Twitch. That is where I do all my live feeds. Thank you for always being so supportive, ladies and gentlemen. I got much love for you. You all have a good day now. Bye-bye.